The Indian national Hamid Nehal Ansari has been released after 6 years. Today, he's expected to meet Sushma Swaraj, the External Affairs Minister. South Korea's Foreign Minister Kang Kyung-wha has arrived in India for a 2-day official visit. During the visit, Kang will hold talks with her Indian counterpart Sushma Swaraj and co-chair the 9th meeting of the India and Republic of Korea Joint Commission in New Delhi. South Korean President Moon Jae-in has signed 11 agreements to expand business ties between the two countries in July. The Indian Space Research Organization is all set to launch its newest military communications satellite today from Andhra Pradesh, Sriharikota. The communication satellite will help connect all assets of the Indian Air Force like planes, control platforms, drones and ground stations. The new satellite, dubbed as the Indian Angry Bird, will form the band of communication satellite for use of Indian military along with GSAT-7 and GSAT-6. The Belgian Prime Minister Charles Michel has announced his resignation after Socialists and Greens tabled a motion of no confidence in his minority government. Michel had relaunched his government a week ago as a minority administration after the biggest party in his coalition quit in protest at his support of the UN Migration Pact. While addressing the parliament, Prime Minister Michel has confirmed that he has offered his resignation to Belgian King. The sentencing for President Donald Trump's former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn has been postponed until 2019 after dramatic federal court hearing. Michael Flynn was criticized by the federal judges for lying to the FBI agents, and his sentencing has been delayed to ensure his full cooperation into possible collusion between Trump's 2016 campaign and Russia. In a press briefing, White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders has said that there was certainly concern that Michael Flynn has lied to the FBI and wished him well. U.S. President Donald Trump's namesake charitable foundation has agreed to dissolve following a lawsuit by New York's Attorney General. The lawsuit claims that Trump misused the foundation to advance his 2016 presidential campaign and his businesses. The foundation's assets will be distributed to charities vetted by the Attorney General's office, but the deal is subject to approval by the New York State Judge. Pensioners and students took to the streets of Paris to protest against reforms by the French government. Over 1,000 pensioners gathered in front of the Economy Ministry to protest against the rise of taxes based on their retirement income, while hundreds of students marched against the different reforms taking place in high schools. Many high school students are angry at a new selection platform for university admission, calling it unfair.
De ce tragique attentat de Strasbourg. Aujourd'hui, l'uniforme ne protège plus.
Merci, Monsieur le Président, Mesdames, Messieurs le Député, Monsieur le Député Ciotti. Les conditions de travail, d'abord de ces dernières semaines, mais globalement depuis de longues années, de nos forces de sécurité en France n'ont pas été à la hauteur dans nos enquêtes.
U.S. Surgeon General Jerome Adams has issued an advisory to respond in a sharp rise in e-cigarette use among youth. The top U.S. doctor has declared vaping as an epidemic in the U.S., calling for action against e-cigarette use. The advisory was issued the day after the data from a survey showed that more than 20% of high school seniors have used e-cigarettes in the past 30 days. In the past year alone, e-cigarette use has increased by 78% among high school students. The Israeli military has released a video in what it says showed one of the attack tunnels allegedly dug by its arch-enemy Hezbollah among the Israel-Lebanon border. However, the Israeli military has refused to give the exact location, stressing the tunnel did not pose an imminent threat. Israel alleged that the Hezbollah dug the tunnels in order to infiltrate the country and carry out attacks. Hezbollah has not commented on the operation. Madagascar heads to the polls today in a crunch to head-to-head election between two arch rivals who have dominated the country for years. Now, both candidates, Mark Ravalomanan or Andry Rajoelina, have spent lavishly on campaigning in a country that suffers dire poverty. About 45% of the 10 million registered voters abstained from the first round voting, with the personalities of the two contenders dominating the election. Issues of poverty, corruption and lack of basic services have been pushed to one side. European Union and African business leaders and heads of state agreed to investments to boost economic ties between the European Union and Africa. The EU-Africa Forum was hosted by Austria and Rwanda in Vienna. Migration was not on the official agenda of the summit, but was discussed on the sidelines. The European Union has been keener to find ways to work with African countries to discourage or prevent migrants from embarking on the perilous Mediterranean crossing. Both parties have emphasized that trade and prosperity are the key to solving migration issues. The European Union have agreed to a goal of cutting carbon emissions from cars by 37.5% in the next decade. The 28-nation bloc has been divided for months over how strict to be on carbon dioxide emissions from vehicles as part of its push to reduce greenhouse gases overall by 40% by 2030. Four environmental NGOs have launched legal proceedings against the French government for their lack of action on climate change and for not standing by the international commitments to tackle the issue. The Foundation for Nature and Mankind, Greenpeace, France claimed that the state has failed to prevent and protect their citizens from the risks of global warming by not implementing effective legislation. The government has 2 months to respond before the NGOs bring the case before an administration court. French President Emmanuel Macron visited the Strasbourg market after the recent attack that killed 4 people. Macron paid the tributes to the victims at the city's Kleber Place and met with security forces deployed in Strasbourg to thank them. A 29-year-old suspected gunman has been killed by police on Thursday after a 2-day manhunt.
Oui, le président de la République, vous l'avez vu.
Madrid's Zoo Aquarium has performed a traditional Christmas season dive by setting up an underwater nativity scene. The nativity scene featuring Jesus, Mary, Joseph and the 3 wise men adds a touch of Christmas cheer for visitors. During the Christmas season, zookeepers reduce the temperatures of the water and set the nativity scene in the tank. Sharks, stingrays and barracuda share the tank with a sea turtle. The Christmas dive has been performed at the aquarium since 1995. A species of sharks and rays in Liberia's territorial waters are feared to be going extinct. The sharks and rays have reportedly been placed on the International Union for Conservation of Nature's Red List. Liberia is now attempting to save the species from extinction. Four zebras escaped from a Christmas circus and were seen racing around Dresden in Germany. The zebras were recaptured and returned to the circus. The animals trotted past Parliament and along the banks of the river during the escape. The police pursuit that followed left one officer injured, and one of the zebras was later found dead from the stress.
Sollen sie aber bitte nicht überrennen.
A Japanese startup has unveiled its first creation of a companion robot designed to make users happy. The Loverwort, a mashup of love and robot, cannot help with the housework, but claims to draw out your ability to love. Designed to mimic affection for users who show it kindness by becoming warm to the touch, going to sleep when it's cuddled, or simply following users around. Its practical uses are limited to simple tasks like baby monitoring or watching over the house via a camera that users can use to access through a mobile app while they're out. A Polish runner, Piotr Suchenia, braved freezing temperatures and harsh conditions to finish the annual ice race in 3 hours and 49 minutes, nearly 30 minutes ahead of runner-up Australia's Isaac Thayer. The 57 competitors from 15 different nations had to deal with the tougher conditions than previous years. Visibility was poor due to snowfall, but the temperatures were relatively mild with an absence of wind.
Where else would you rather be?
Britain's Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle, has embraced the festive spirit by carrying out a solo official engagement at a nursing home. Meghan has joined in Christmas celebrations at a nursing and care home for those who had worked in the entertainment industry. The visit is Meghan's last official engagement before she and Harry joined the other senior royals to spend Christmas with the Queen at her country residence in eastern England.